Episode 126. Are GMO crops designed to create food dependency? Welcome back to the Conspiracy Theory Analyst. I'm Robin. Genetically modified organisms, GMOs, have been one of the most controversial topics in agriculture for over 30 years. The science says they are safe to eat. The regulatory consensus says they are safe to grow. And yet the debate around them has never quieted. Not because the safety science is genuinely unclear, but because the business model built around them raises questions that go beyond biology. Tonight we are not primarily examining whether GMOs are harmful to eat. The scientific consensus on that question is clear. Tonight we examine a different question, whether the patent-based seed model that GMO technology enables was designed deliberately or by market logic to create a system of agricultural dependency that transfers power over the global food supply from farmers and governments to a small number of corporations. Detailed explanation: genetically modified crops were first commercially introduced in the mid-1990s. The earliest and most significant were developed by Monsanto, now absorbed into Bayer following a $63 billion acquisition in 2018. The flagship products were Roundup-ready crops, varieties of soybean, corn, cotton, and canola engineered to be resistant to Monsanto's own herbicide, glyphosate, sold under the brand name Roundup. The business model was built around patents. Unlike conventional crop varieties, which farmers had saved and replanted for millennia, patented GMO seeds could not legally be replanted. Farmers who purchased Roundup-ready soybeans signed a technology agreement promising not to save seed from the harvest for replanting. If they wanted to plant again the following season, they had to buy new seed from Monsanto. This was enforced. Monsanto employed investigators who visited farms and tested crops for the presence of patented genetic traits. Between 1997 and 2010, Monsanto filed lawsuits against 144 farmers and 53 small businesses for alleged patent infringement. The legal costs of defending such suits were often enough to bankrupt small farming operations, regardless of the outcome. The Supreme Court ruled in Bowman v. Monsanto in 2013 that farmers could not replant patented GMO seeds. The practice of saving seed, one of the foundational elements of agricultural civilization, was legally prohibited for patented varieties. Core elements of the concern: the first element is the seed patent dependency model. Before GMO crops, farmers could save seed. After GMO adoption at scale, farmers who planted the dominant commercial varieties became legally required to purchase new seed each season from a small number of corporations. In the United States, for companies, Bayer, Monsanto, Corteva, Syngenta, and BASF control the vast majority of the commercial seed market. The concentration of seed supply in a small number of patent holders represents a structural shift in agricultural power that is documented and real. The second element is the Roundup-ready design logic. Roundup-ready crops are specifically engineered to be resistant to glyphosate, the herbicide sold by the same company that sells the seed. The farmer who plants Roundup-ready soybeans needs glyphosate to manage weeds on their Roundup-ready field. The seed and the chemical are sold by the same company. Critics argue this is not a coincidence of engineering, but a deliberate design choice, creating a lock system in which the seed purchase generates a recurring herbicide purchase, both benefiting the same corporation. The third element is the developing world dimension. In countries where farmers have limited access to legal resources and where subsistence agriculture depends on seed saving, the extension of GMO patent enforcement has generated significant controversy. India's cotton farmers adopted Bt cotton, a GMO variety developed by Monsanto, at scale from the early 2000s. The subsequent collapse in cotton prices, combined with debt from seed and pesticide purchases, has been cited in connection with the documented crisis of farmer indebtedness in India. The causal relationship between Bt cotton adoption and farmer debt is genuinely debated among economists, but the structural dependency created by patented seed purchasing is not. The fourth element is the regulatory capture argument. Monsanto and other agribusiness companies have spent significant resources lobbying regulatory agencies and placing former employees in regulatory positions. Critics have identified a documented revolving door between Monsanto and the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. The companies that develop GMO technology have been influential in shaping the regulatory frameworks that govern it, raising legitimate questions about the independence of safety assessments. Evidence for and against the evidence for the food dependency concern is documented and not seriously contested. Seed market concentration is real and measurable. Patent enforcement against farmers is documented. The Roundup Ready design creates a seed herbicide dependency loop that is structural rather than accidental. The Supreme Court upheld the seed patent model. These are facts. The evidence against the strongest conspiracy version, that GMO crops were specifically designed to create global food dependency as a deliberate geopolitical strategy, is the absence of documentation for that specific intent. The business logic of patent-based agricultural technology does not require a conspiracy to produce dependency outcomes. It produces them through ordinary market mechanisms. Companies protect their patents. Patent protection creates dependency. The outcome does not require a secret plan. The safety of GMO food consumption is a separate question from the business model concerns. The scientific consensus, including from the World Health Organization, the U.S. National Academies of Sciences, and hundreds of peer-reviewed studies, is that currently approved GMO foods are safe to eat. Conflating food safety concerns with patent dependency concerns, as the anti-GMO movement sometimes does, weakens the more defensible critique. Arguments in favor of concerned critics argue that the design of patented herbicide-tolerant crops, in which the same company sells the seed and the herbicide the seed is designed to require, is precisely the kind of product architecture that creates structural dependency. They note that the concentration of the global seed market in 4 corporations, achieved through decades of acquisitions and patent accumulation, gives those corporations influence over global food production that no private entities have held in human history. They also point to the documented lobbying and regulatory influence of agribusiness companies, and argue that the safety regulatory process for GMO crops has been shaped by the industries seeking approval rather than by independent public interest assessment. Arguments against defenders of GMO technology argue that patent-based seed development is the same model used across the technology industry. Pharmaceutical companies patent drugs, software companies patent code, technology companies patent devices. The agricultural sector is not unique in using intellectual property protection to recoup research investment. The alternative, no patent protection, would eliminate the financial incentive for the research investment that produced the crops in the first place. They also argue that GMO technology has produced genuine benefits, increased yields, reduced pesticide use in some contexts, crops resistant to disease, and varieties adapted to climate stress. The Gates Foundation, which funds agricultural development in the Global South, has supported GMO research as a tool for food security. Dismissing all GMO development as a dependency trap ignores its genuine contributions. Public opinion and broader impact, the GMO debate has never been primarily about food safety in the countries where it is most heated. It has been about corporate control, seed sovereignty, and the terms on which agricultural technology reaches farmers. These concerns are legitimate regardless of what one believes about the safety of eating GMO food. In 2026, the merger of Bayer and Monsanto, the continued consolidation of the seed market, and ongoing legal challenges to patent enforcement in developing countries keep the structural concerns alive. The question of who controls the global seed supply and on what terms is one of the defining questions of 21st century food security. Conclusion: are GMO crops designed to create food dependency? The patent-based seed model creates structural dependency through ordinary market mechanisms. It does not require deliberate design to produce that outcome. Whether the specific design of herbicide-tolerant seeds linked to proprietary herbicides reflects deliberate lock-in strategy or commercial convenience is a question the documented evidence does not fully resolve. For critics, the outcome, farmers legally prohibited from saving seed, dependent on a small number of corporations for agricultural inputs, is the evidence. For defenders, it is innovation protected by intellectual property in the same way that all technology innovation is protected. What is certain is this. For companies now control the majority of the global commercial seed supply. Seed saving has been legally prohibited for patented varieties. And the food system that feeds 8 billion people depends on that supply chain continuing to function. This is the Conspiracy Theory Analyst. I'm Robin. If tonight's episode made you think, please rate and follow on Spotify. Tomorrow on the Conspiracy Theory Analyst, Project Bluebeam. Is NASA planning a fake alien invasion? That's next.